Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me, I've got two four-wheel drive high horsepower monsters. Now this is going to be a new thing for me. I'm trialing it out. This has been in my head probably the last 2 to 3 years. A few most recent YouTube comments have actually reignited my thoughts about this because, as I said, I have been thinking about this for a long time. But I have got two beautiful little friends called Michael and Gemma, and they have got a Suzuka Grey Audi R8 four-wheel drive 5.2 litre V10. It's an absolute amazing car in every respect, and as you know, this will probably be one of my future progression cars because I am in love with the new generation R8, of course. So this is going to be a kind of a day in the bay kind of video. So I'm going to move this old thing out of here and then give you the front and center of this. But basically imagine something like a day in the bay. I'm going to be basically, hopefully, if this rolls out quite well to how I want, I'm going to be making on the website a very specific application form to where we'll pick and choose, cherry pick cars, of course. We can't wash 5 million cars because there will probably be 5 million applications. And basically the whole purpose of this is this. For example, Michael and Gemma, you're about to see some B-roll. The car's been used. They drive it extremely heavily. They drive it how it is intended for. And it's quite dirty for an Audi R8 anyway. And they get a clean car. We get to develop some products, whether it be some stuff you're going to see on and off camera here, but the on-camera stuff is basically finished kind of development and it's pre-production, or it's like the final iteration of a pre-production product, you know, a development product, or some stuff, of course, off camera, because I don't want to ruin the surprise for you all. Will be some kind of, you know, V2, 3, 4, 5 kind of products, which we're going to be testing. So they get a clean car. We get some development time. You guys, on the other hand, get to see very nice cars getting washed. But the beautiful thing about this is each car, hopefully, that will come in the progression after this video will be, you know, a different level of protections. Has it got PPF? Has it not? Is it white? Is it purple? You know, these cars are going to be all different. And you get to actually learn to see how, again, I have never ever in my life touched this car, okay? And I'm going to show you how I would do. You know, in this case, probably it requires a bit of a stronger decon wash, all these type of things. You get to learn how to do a car. Now, we're in a weird weather right now, so I know you can't see the sky. I have got blue, I've got cloud, and I've got more blue. So we're going to be peeking in and out of the sunlight. We're getting into the warmer temperatures, and I'm going to obviously educate you and kind of show you how you wash with what products in the warmer seasons / colder seasons, because right now I'm freezing. In about 40 seconds I'm going to be sweating again. So it's going to be an interesting video. So get ready for a multi-part video series on us helping our very good customers, our very good friends, look after the Audi R8. Let's touch some kind of areas which you probably haven't seen on this channel before, and let's get rolling. All right, so I've got the keys to one of the most potent supercar killers in existence. I mean, you would probably say this is a supercar in its own respect. Let's have a go. So I am 17'3", everybody, and I fit beautifully inside this car. You can always smell an Audi, you know. For some reason, there's just an Audi smell behind here. So here we are. Oh, Lordy, Lord Almighty. So what Michael doesn't know is I'm taking this car to the Nürburgring. I wish. So let's get this in position, let's get it into shot. They see me rolling, they're hating. I'll never be on the X Factor, I'll tell you that much. Oh, now this is beautiful. 5.2 litre V10. As I said, same engine as is in the Lamborghini. This, obviously, they share the engines. It's right behind my left eardrum. I can just hear that purr. Four-wheel drive, absolutely stunning. Is it time for me to buy an R8? I don't know. It's one of these things. I hate things like this when they come to me because I'm like, I want. But it's very nice. Now, the good thing is, you know, if you Google Suzuka Grey and you actually have a look at all the forums, it's actually an interesting one because it looks white. So you've probably seen this white on camera. Now, they said when the sun peeks out, it's even more white. But when it's a bit overcastish, I know it's had a bit of rain on here, it's been sat, so it's got like these orange spots all over the place, but that's because it's took the pollen from the air and kind of brought it down. But in the sun, it has that more of a white texture to the paint. So it'll be really interesting to see how this looks underneath our lights, which are very high power, and you can see everything under there. So let's get it going. This is almost like a wash and chat, but across multiple episodes. Let's rock and roll. Okay, so we're going to start with, of course, filling the buckets first, like I always do. So I've got my wash in here, and I've got one of our tri-fiber pads. Now, I do the rinse bucket first. You could do whichever one you want, really doesn't matter. But the only reason I do that is because this is the bucket that gets filled up to the top, whereas this is, you know, 3/4 or just below. And the reason for that is, for me, is I like to run the hot water system through first. So probably the first 5 liters is going to be lukewarm, and then it gets too hot because of the pipe work. So that's the only reason I do it. Now I leave the wash pad in there. It begins to, of course, absorb the water, let it get malleable again. Again, you can just take a dry wash pad, put it directly in there. And while that's filling up, again, the importance, I'm going to speak to you on this point, the importance of actually shaking up any formulation, whether it's as thin as water or as thick as kind of cream, it always should be shaken because things sink, things rise, and you want to just reinvigorate the formulation. Now, the thicker that the formulation becomes, so again, you've used our wash, you know it is quite a viscous product. You want to give it an extra shake, and that's just to make sure all the raw materials are reignited in amongst each other again and ready to go. Now, as you can see, the wash pad is sunk right to the top because it is basically 93% full. Now you'll notice again, I'm going to keep hammering it home, so if you've heard this, just switch off for the next 16 seconds. I'm not putting the shampoo in first. As you could tell, the bucket is empty, it's got no water inside it. You don't want to be putting this in because the force of water and the water flow will actually begin to agitate the shampoo at the wrong time, which basically means, in layman's terms, as you can see per camera, you're going to have about this much water, this much head, and at the end of the day, you're not washing your car with bubbles. You need the water and the right mix of shampoo. So you first let it rip, and you get it to the correct level of water that you want, which for me is 3/4, because we basically, imagine if this is the line here. At this point, you're going to have water, obviously the right dilution of your car shampoo, and you're going to invigorate or agitate the solution of water and shampoo together to give it just the right mixture, but also just the right head up top here, which will just be perfect. So I've got it at, in fact, I've got it right to the ring. I can see it, perfect. Maybe that's why they made the rings as a measuring guide. I'm actually not sure, but I'm making that one up. So maybe they've done it for that reason. So again, it's been shaken. And on this case, I know Michael washes the car quite often. He looks after it with all of our products. So the medium testing kind of phase in that respect, he uses our products. The car is what we're about to see, how easily it kind of rinses off. I know it is protected extremely well. But still, because I know there is a bit of dried pollen on the car, I'm going to use my common sense rather than counting the P per wash on a 160 grand car. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put a few extra mil of car shampoo to add that extra bit of slickness. Do you get where I'm going with this? If you know the car's going to be dirty and there is some very jagged and abrasive material on the car, use a little bit more shampoo, guys. So again, 50, I'd say 75 to 100 mil of wash in there, okay? That's ready to go for the next stage. Uh-oh, I've got the engine bay compartment open of a very, very expensive car. What do you think is going to be happening right now? I am going to be putting a customized flow, so high flow, low PSI, because we've customized how much output the pressure is putting, or the pressure washer is putting, into the engine bay. What's the worst that can happen? Actually, not a lot. Now, since about 99 or 2000, most production cars after this time, and again more and more as we've got to 2024, they've what's been called splash proof. Now, unless it's a modified car with, you know, exposed parts everywhere, even a modern car, at that point you need to be just a little bit more careful, but it's not hard. Whereas this, you know, an OEM engine is completely safe to put water in. Again, use your common sense. Don't take a gun and hold it like this here for 10 minutes, because you may actually get kind of a bit of water ingress in kind of certain areas. But in this case, what you want to be doing is you want to be rinsing it. I've got my very trusty undress. This is going to be absolute king in this area. And then we've got a dilution of 100 ml of Dress V2 to 500 ml of water. Again, I have been using this bottle. In fact, interesting for you, that's the bottle. I've used this mix for about a year, maybe 13 months, and you've just seen how much I've been using. This is specifically my engine bay dilution, and I've used in fact probably about 100 ml of this in just over a year. So we're going to put it on wet after the engine bay is clean, of course, and we're going to close the hatch and let the chemistry do the talking. So basically, we've let the water take off a little bit of, you know, if there's leaves or any kind of crud that's kind of loose. And now we're going to take our undress, get the right spray pattern, literally saturate the whole engine bay. Be liberal. The whole goal of this is you want the surfactants to actually start working, right? So we're going to be spraying this. It's going to take us about 60 seconds. And then it's going to start dropping everywhere, which means, you know, into the engine bay. So it's actually cleaning a lot further into the areas that you actually can't see. All right, there we are. Look at that. Now that's doing its business. And now, honestly, this is where the cool stuff kind of begins to happen. I've got one of our Detail Factory detailing brushes. I've preloaded brushes many years ago. That's where I started in terms of if you don't know what you're dealing with or you just want to give it a little bit of bite, I like to put it into the head. And literally, at this point, you let your obsessions go. If this takes you an hour, never apologize to anyone. Literally get to every nook and cranny that you want or you don't want. You're in complete control. You're just letting it go. Now basically the surfactants within undress have had a good couple of minutes to now begin to break down. I'm not saying this car is spitting oil or anything like that, but you know, parts like this, because it's slightly exposed, it's not fully airtight, you know, they will get a little bit of contamination from time to time. And this is why you do an engine bay detail. This is honestly one of the simplest things you could do to your car. And also, once you allow, just while I'm on this point, you can enjoy the beautiful action of my hands cleaning the engine bay. But just so I can explain to you the chemistry of Dress V2, once you dilute it and you actually let it sit on say a slightly wet engine bay overnight, or as long as you humanly can, but usually overnight, it actually mixes with the water and penetrates the rubbers, the plastics, because as I said, it's a moisturizer. I've always tried to hammer this home to you. Now, if you do this with other dressings, you can actually see how true and false my statement is in comparison to other things, is because other stuff will just literally, it'll start to kind of emulsify like oil and water, and it will look really horrendous. But this product, being built from the ground up, one of its core foundational values are, when we were developing it, it had to do what we wanted it to do in this specific application. And that's why you see in 24 hours, when you see this engine bay, it just looks like a completely different thing. So the engine bay has been agitated, and now it's time to give it a thorough rinse. Now you get to see the true magic begin to happen. What you'll see, a lot of detailing videos out there, you will see, oh, you've got to dry now the engine bay, which again works totally great, not a problem. However, if you dry unprotected things, so unprotected paint, unprotected plastic in this case, the water is sat on the plastic, on the metal parts. So when you try and get a blower, whether it's heated, filtered, really doesn't matter, or a towel, you're going to have the worst experience of your life. Now, if you want to crack on and do that, and then do this with dry application, nothing wrong, and you will get just as beautiful a result. However, because what I've just mentioned about the formulation of this product, what I recommend you do is, now the fact that the water is pooling in one spot, so there's no beads, which basically means there's actually quite a lot of water on here that's sat. So instead of drying it, put it on wet, be thorough. Now it's beginning to run further down into the engine, and you've got hoses and plastic components. The engine has now been coated. Your only job at this point is to close the latch and enjoy the rest of your life.